Hello and welcome to WCSN's coverage of ASU women's basketball for this season. I'm Max Bechtold here with Tyler Strachan and Drew Martin, and let's just get started right away. So, what do you believe, Tyler, is the biggest strength and the biggest weakness for the team heading into the season?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest strength for ASU is their perimeter defense. You know, last year they had Promise Amukamara, who's one of the best perimeter defensive players in the Pac-12. They lose her to the Phoenix Mercury this year, but you know what? They bring in her little sister, Peace, and she's going to be in the starting lineup, and I think she's going to bring that same dynamic, so I think they keep up that perimeter defense. As far as weaknesses go, I think their biggest weakness is the front court size, and depth. The tallest player on the roster is Quinn Dornstadter, and she's only 6'4". After that, they don't really have any players that are going to be ready to contribute that are over 6'1" or 6 feet tall, so I think they'll have some trouble grabbing boards in the Pac-12.
Now, Drew, who do you believe will be ASU's biggest competition in the Pac-12?
Well, I know that Oregon State's been getting a lot of press, a lot of attention in the preseason. They returned 4 of their starters, including Ruth Hamblin, who won the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year. But I still think Stanford, returning Lee Thompson and a lot of size in the front court, they're really good with rebounding. I think they're going to pose a problem in the Pac-12. They might still make a run at the title, and Tara Vanderveer coach teams are always going to be in contention.
So, Tyler, if you had to choose 1 or 2 players this year to consider key players, who would they be?
Well, obviously, Katie Hempen is the best player on this team. She's great at scoring the ball. She averaged a little over 12 points a game last year. She's the best shooter, shoots about 36% from deep. So she's going to be big. Anytime they need a bucket, they're going to be looking for her. But I think the key player this year for ASU is point guard Alicia Davis. She's a senior this year. This is her second year being in the starting lineup and having the full keys to the offense. I think she's going to have a huge impact. She's going to be distributing the ball. And I think if she can improve her jumper a little bit, she can even be a go-to scorer for them.
Now, Drew, I want you to think hard about this one. What is one bold prediction you have for this season?
Well, for me, I think my bold prediction would be that Charlie Turner-Thorne will win the Pac-12 Coach of the Year this year. She was very close last year, lost out to Oregon State's head coach, but I think the Sun Devils put it all together this year. They're able to do well with life after Promise Amukamara, and because they do so well, maybe Charlie Turner-Thorne will win the Pac-12 Coach of the Year.
Finally, what are your overall season predictions for this year?
Well, I'm going to be a little bit more negative than Drew. I think the loss of Promise Amukamara is huge for this team. She was a vocal leader, she was a leader in the locker room, and she was obviously the best player. She was the best defensive player. So I think the loss of her to the Phoenix Mercury, that's a big loss. That's going to be tough to overcome. But I think, another year for Alicia Davis, another year for Sophie Bruner. This team is definitely going to compete. They're going to be in there in the mix for the Pac-12 championship, and I wouldn't be shocked if they won it, but I'm a little bit less optimistic than Drew there.
Well, as you said, I'm optimistic about this team. I think they're deep enough and they have a good enough bench. The freshmen look good that they can overcome the loss of Promise Amukamara. I think that they have the potential, and I think they will win the regular season Pac-12 championship and the tournament championship. So they'll have the sweep, and they'll be looking really good heading into the tournament.
Should be interesting to see how this season plays out. Well, that's all the time we have at WCSN. For Max Bechtold, Tyler Strachan, and Drew Martin, thank you for joining us.